name is Johnson Yang, and I'm going to talk about how addiction is a side effect of improper coping mechanism. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into the abyss will gaze back into you. By Friedrich Nietzsche. No saying is more relevant to causality of addiction from coping mechanism. Those who cope with their demons without properly managing the coping aspect will eventually become the demons themselves. And if you stay too long in the rewards of these mechanisms, you will be swallowed by them. Now, what is a coping mechanism? Well, it's a habit formed over time to manage situations or stress levels. And properly using these habits will form into addictions, such as drug addiction, gambling addiction, and even socially accepted addictions, such as shopping addiction. Let's look at drug addiction, such as alcohol or substance use. How a beer after a long day of work eventually turns into needing a beer to relax every day after work. The feeling the substance gives after you use it to be high or buzz just to cope with stress or even emotional situations. Prolonged use of any of these substances has always led to a drug addiction. The National Survey of Drug Use and Health says that 1 out of 8 adults have both substance use disorder and alcohol use disorder in the same year. While the symptoms usually are neglecting one's own responsibility, such as work or even family, just to feel good again, going to the extent of stealing just to be able to afford these habits, even after knowing that these are bad habits, you still cannot stop them. See, what was once a coping mechanism at one point has now become the only way to cope with your problems. Now, how does gambling addiction have anything to do with coping though? Well, gambling addiction, as explained by MayoClinic.org, is the uncontrollable urge to keep gambling despite the toll it takes on your life. Well, when a person gambles, they're given instant gratification, and that's usually relieves them of their stress. They believe the effort, the hard-earned cash that they made, being turned into a bigger value is a good way to feel better about themselves. An instant reward to help you forget about reality is not such a bad way to cope. But gambling, like all other forms of entertainment, comes with a time limit. An excess of such usually leads down the path of addiction. By trying to get bigger rewards, allowing your family members at the extent of their losses, and even stealing from family and friends. Now, what was once a way to reward yourself of hard day's work has now become the very sole reason why you're working so hard just to get the next jackpot. And that leads to our most prevalent of addictions, shopping addiction. Now we have all told ourselves it's okay to splurge out on those pair of shoes because you have worked hard for them. Or even buy yourself a shiny new phone because it's got the latest camera lens or even the fastest processor. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. We all know how good it feels to have new things. It's been ingrained to us since we were a little kid. But what was a once-in-a-while splurge to cope with stress has now become the only way to deal with stress. This is what separates normal shopping from addiction shopping. Addiction shopping is as prevalent today as it is back in the early 19th century, and even cited as a psychiatric disorder in the early 20th century, as written in an article published on verywellminded.com. Now, how would you even know if you're a shopping addict? Symptoms usually range from being more materialistic by seeking status through material objects, creating money problems by overbuying what's not even needed, and unable to stop shopping even when they know that they do not have the money. It does not help that in today's society, propagated by commercialism, has become rampant with ads appearing everywhere, either from your social media to that cooking video you're watching on YouTube. There is even a term shopping addicts will use to excuse their habit which is retail therapy. And if that does not scream coping mechanism, then I don't really know what else does. So, in conclusion, most, if not all, addiction at one point or another was supposed to be a sort of coping mechanism. But through the improper use and time management of such mechanism has mentally and emotionally burdened not just on the individual, but those around them as well. How drug addiction leads to broken relationship, and how gambling addiction controls the motivation to work or why they work, and then allow shopping addiction to be their therapy. We believe addiction only affects those who have weak minds or even weak emotional foundations. Yet, addiction is no more than just a human error. Like the famous proverb, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. We need to understand this before we can truly find a solution. And that is my speech on why I believe addiction is just an improper form or use of coping mechanism. Thank you.